welcome the guests. Ladies and gentlemen, let's have a huge round of applause. We had a great start to the morning. Let's have some energy there.
Very good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. It's going to be an exciting day as we dive into Bharat. And who can ever forget Mr. Kant when India led the presidency of the G20 for the first time? That descriptor appeared on all our screens, the Prime Minister of Bharat, Narendra Modi. Let's discuss this brand transition and what it means and how we can sort of interlocute better with Bharat. Mr. Kant, tell us first about this conscious decision to spin India's presidency at the G20 around brand Bharat. And what was the principal aim of this? We were told a little story about how the Prime Minister actually wanted this event to be spread across geographies. What was that for?
So, Rahul, first of all, when G20 is held, it's normally held in 1 or 2 cities. The Prime Minister's vision was that it should be a people's presidency. Take it to the people of India. Take it to every state of India. So we took it to 60 cities of India. And we used that opportunity to improve drainage, sewage, solid waste, roads. We cleaned up the lakes, the backwaters. We really transformed India. And we also used that opportunity to spread local culture, one district, one product. We involved the people of those particular districts, of those particular schools, colleges. We made it a pan-India presidency.
Let me ask you this. This is interesting because you're, of course, brand guru. You create brands. I want to ask you this because while I was researching, I came across a couple of comments that were made by Mr. Amitabh Kant's college mates, Shashi Tharoor and others. And there's been so much talk about India, that is Bharat, of course, but Bharat, that is India. And people say, you can't do away with India. It's too big a global, internationally recognized brand. What do you believe? Has the time come for Bharat to be, at some level, turned into a slogan to attract people from all across? And if you were given that responsibility, you've just been given the responsibility, of course, to manage the Bharatiya Janata Party's campaign. But if you were asked to evolve a campaign around Bharat, what were the ingredients?
ये भारतीय जनता पार्टी आपने कहा, इसका नाम इंडियन जनता पार्टी कैसा लगता है आपको? See, the question is, what you call the nomenclature words is, what you feel is very important. Deep down, what you feel. What is the country you feel about? What is the ethos you feel? What it evokes? It's not only semantics. It's also, it's certain, when your tongue moves in a certain way, and I think the experts will tell you there is a neurological path which it follows, and hence a certain imagery is evoked. So when you pronounce Bharat, a different imagery is evoked. And I think that's very, very personal and important imagery for me. So for any cost, I would never give up Bharat as a name because it is deep down ingrained into what we believe the country is. It doesn't mean that India comes in parlance or people refer to it in their local languages the way. I think that's a different sort of practice. Practice and emotion and belief. I think we need to understand the semantics of it from that. So it's not that you'll shun things. In fact, I believe in assimilation. देखिए क्या होता है, आप भाषा की बात करते हैं. Now, you have a new word which says SMS, which also means messaging. अगर SMS शब्द हिंदी की भाषा के शब्दकोश का हिस्सा बनता है तो मुझे बहुत खुशी होती है. बिकॉज अपनी बाहें आप फैला रहे हैं, अपना आकाश वृहत कर रहे हैं, यू आर मेकिंग योर स्काई लार्जर. लेकिन वो SMS शब्द अगर संदेश शब्द की हत्या करके आता है तो मुझे प्रॉब्लम है. आई हैव जहां पे संदेश से आएंगे वहां संदेश से ही आएंगे, वो आप रिप्लेस नहीं कर सकते. So I think this coexistence, I think this assimilation is how I think about it, because it evokes a certain feeling and those feelings are important. शब्द जो है वो संस्कृति का कैप्सूल है. जब एक शब्द मरता है तो उसके साथ उसकी संस्कृति जुड़ी हुई मरती है. ये आपको सारे linguistics बता देंगे. Even a particular word dies, how many emotions and how many feelings and how much of knowledge, information dies with it, because it is a capsule of that culture. So I think we have to make sure that, we inject and infuse life in words. और जो गायब भी हो रहे हैं उनको वापस लाए. That is what my approach is. So it's a complex subject. What should take precedence? I think it should be left to people to finally see what they feel. I think their feeling is more important. I think the names belong to them. The language belongs to people who practice it.
Let me draw you into this because Amitabh Kant, speaking in tangible terms, the emphasis today is around projecting our nation as a fast, modernizing, innovative country amongst the comity of nations. And many people are using the term Viksit. The Prime Minister himself uses it. It sort of gives us a feeling of, as he says, energy. But Bharat invokes a sense of earthy nostalgia. At least that's what a batchmate of yours in college, Piyush Pandey, another brand guru, has said. So how do we contemporize brand Bharat?
So, मेरे विचार से जो हमने अचीव किया है, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में, डिजिटाइजेशन में, क्लाइमेट चेंज में, स्ट्रक्चरल रिफॉर्म्स में जो कुछ अचीव किया है पिछले 8-9 सालों से, so there is a great sense of national pride, huge sense of, so the vestiges of colonialism have gone away. We are not aping the West anymore. We are going back to our roots. That's very clear. That we want to be a modern, progressive nation based on our own strength, on our own civilization. And I think Bharat gives you that strength that we are a strong nation and that Bharat, the time is now. It has to be ambitious, it has to be aggressive, it has to be aspirational. That is what the message goes out.
So let me ask you, because Mr. Kant, people in the opposition say that the NDA's obsession with this concept, Bharat, is essentially about a political messaging to its core base. It imagines a Rashtra with sort of Hindu sensibilities and characteristics. Now, how do you respond to that?
It's also very forward-looking. It's also very progressive. It's also very modern when you open up, you're opening up your space sector, you're opening up your drone sector, you're opening up your robotics sector, you're doing, the startups have grown by leaps and bounds by 20x. In the number of incubators have grown by 15x. Your economy is growing at 8.5% for the last 3 quarters at a time when there is a global slowdown. So all this also reflects the confidence of a young, vibrant India, of a very dynamic young India. The average age is just 29. Why should we be caught up in just looking at what the West's perspective on India is? We are confident that we are a Bharat.
Prasoon ji, let me ask you this.
But इसमें मैं एक चीज जोड़ूंगा कि progress and what people feel, everything aside, what is authentic is what I am interested in. And Bharat is authentic.
India is not.
See, authenticity, now you say politicization. Politicization versus political ideology. Now, if there is an ideology which is true to itself, where it emanates from, and it chooses to use those metaphors and those, what's wrong in it? It's honesty, it's transparency. I don't consider this, debate when it gets polarized. I think I personally have, माँ को मैं माँ के ही नाम से बुलाता हूँ. Okay? और आप जिस नाम से सहज हैं, वो आपका नाम है. और मैं भारत से सहज हूँ.
India के लिए तो incredible use किया जाता है. They've used the term incredible. So I just wanted to ask you this, because what would be a tagline for Bharat, for example, that will resonate across? You already have incredible India, which is in its own sense so alluring.
So incredible was a tourism brand, is a tourism brand for India, which we started when Mr. Vajpayee was the Prime Minister of India. And it was meant to promote India as a tourism destination. But here you're talking about brand building of a country. And, you know, branding works best when you differentiate itself and you go back to your own, you differentiate in terms of your own inherent strength. And your inherent strength means your ancient civilization. There has to be a sense of pride on what you are achieving right now. And to my mind, it's also about encapsulating all that you have achieved in terms of many, many aspects of your growth, from you know, infrastructure to climate change to digitization, the quantum leap that we have made. And to my mind, that's about Bharat. The time is now. It's now to really leapfrog.
So let me ask you this. What would be an effective slogan which at some level gives you this sense of genuine authenticity? Yes, what would you come up with?
On this spot, I think you were asking me for slogan earlier also. So I'm saying मुझे ऐसे ही दिमाग में जो आता है अभी, गूंज रहा है भारत. और इसको मैं, I can see a campaign there, like यहाँ से जो टूरिस्ट आ रहा है वो भी कह रहा है मुझ में गूंज रहा है भारत. और आप विश्व स्तर पर देखें और देश के देखें, गूंज रहा है भारत. भारत का प्रताप, भारत की प्रतिष्ठा, भारत का सम्मान, भारत की everything about our country, it's resonating, reverberating. I feel right now, if you ask me instantly, I mean, this is an exercise which we normally sort of, that's a profession, you're asking it to do for free.
Well, someone is paying you now, I believe. Someone is paying you. BJP is going to pay you for
that's
obviously building their political strategy. So how is that?
Of course, when it happens, and
Announcement
we are looking forward to the challenge. I think there are some fabulous people out there, you know, who are in the committee and in the organization. Great minds, I would say, BJP has. And I think it will be immensely a learning exercise for me personally as well. It's always been. And I think work is a way of our engaging with life. I think we look forward to the challenge.
Well, it's very interesting that you've got this assignment at a time when many people say that BJP doesn't represent everyone in this country. It only represents a very few bunch of people who are allied to a particular kind of exclusivist idea of India, etc., etc. So how are you going to broad base the BJP's appeal?
आप लगता है एक किनारा लेके बैठे हुए हैं. मुझे नहीं लगता कि, मुझे बिल्कुल भी ऐसा नहीं लगता. I mean, लेश मात्र भी नहीं लगता कि जब आप भारत कहते हैं तब भी नहीं लगता. मुझे लगता है कि ये भारत का डिबेट जो है आप बढ़ाना चाहे तो बढ़ाते रहे, लेकिन अगर आप समझें तो उसकी आत्मा में आपको समझ में आ जाता है कि भाई एक संस्कृति होती है, देश की आत्मा होती है, और वो संस्कृति को हम जन्म देते हैं, हमारे हाथों से बनती है, उसमें जो भी है वो सब हमारा है. तो उसमें किसको कहाँ पर यूज़ करना है, उसकी भारत कहाँ कह रहे हैं आप, इंडिया कहाँ कह रहे हैं, क्यों कह रहे हैं, वो इनक्रेडिबल इंडिया कहेंगे, इनक्रेडिबल. आई थिंक ये जैसे जैसे इवॉल्व होता है ऐसे ऐसे लोगों के थॉट्स क्लियर होते हैं. रही बात की पार्टी किसकी है, आई थिंक आई वुड से एनीबडी हु इज ऑपरेटिंग एज अ पार्टी वुड लाइक टू बी, एंड आई थिंक मैं समझता हूँ बीजेपी सबकी पार्टी है. I think they're trying to, and look at our Prime Minister, he tries to reach out to everyone. I was with him with the youngsters at the Creators Award, Young Creators, Content Creators Award. And I could see that young 17-year, 20-year, 25-year-old boys and girls, how they were sort of from across the country, who are not, they don't have knowledge of politics that much, but how they were gravitating towards it. I think intent is there. Now how far people have gone, how much road to cover, you can talk about those things. You can't be illusionary about those things. But intent of BJP is to be a party of everyone in this country. In fact, they have global ambitions. मैं इसलिए भारतीयता को मानता हूँ. देखिए, भारतीयता के मूल में हमने G20 में, मेरा सौभाग्य रहा कि इनके जैसे माइंड के साथ मैंने काम किया. G20 में I did the branding and advertising and campaign with him. He was leading it. Now, if you see, हमने वहाँ पे कहा वसुधैव कुटुंबकम. In tourism today, I think this for a long time, but to understand हमने क्या किया, we have just reinforced what India people wanted to believe India is. कि यहाँ पे बहुत सारे कलर हैं, बड़े मसाले हैं, नाच गाना है, और उसी को reinforce हम काफ़ी वक्त तक करते रहे. Well, some of that is not wrong. The truth is, it's not deep diving into Indian ethos. When we say diversity, it looks like the way people are talking about diversity and inclusion in the world, India is also talking about diversity and inclusion in the world. But is it the truth? The truth is, when we say Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, when we say Ekam Sat Vipraha Bahuda Vadanti, or we go to Syadvad or Anekantvad, now ये सब चीजें हमारे ancient ethos हैं. Now people will say, why are you going to the ancient? अरे भाई वही तो आपको differentiate करता है. वरना everybody thinks like it's a fashion to talk about inclusivity and diversity. India is also talking about it. India is not talking about it. India has practiced it. Now how does it help brand India? It does help brand India because it makes it ahead of everyone, and it says that before you even it crossed your mind, this civilization was practicing it. I take a lot of pride in it. Whenever I go into different other countries, I make it a point, I say that. Another point which he made a point to say in G20 was mother of democracy. Now democracy, I think our Honorable Prime Minister had played a lot of emphasis to that. That people should know that democracy is not a newfound thought for India. It has been part of the ethos of this country. Another thing, sustainability. You look at sustainability, you say sustainable development. And मैं pride के साथ, बहुत गर्व के साथ ये कहता हूँ कि I come from a country जहाँ पर we never talk about human civilization, human thing. Keeping human at the center is not what we do. That we are humans and everything else is for our consumption. That is not the way India thinks. India thinks about Srishti. Srishti means all creation. There is a rhythm to the creation. So I am one of the part of the creation. Hence, it is not for my consumption. And what it does, that it creates sustainability on its own. And then sustainable development, sustainability comes like an afterthought. Like you say, sustainable development. The sustainability has come as an afterthought. But for India, development has to begin with sustainability because we believe in Srishti and creation and one with it. That's why we cannot harm something for our progress. Now, is it a modern thought or is it a thought which is part of the ethos of the country? And if somebody says it's part of the ethos of the country, you call them parochial, you call them the fact that they are, becoming inward looking, I think that is injustice and unfair.
Well, Mr. Kant, obviously there has been a moment in time where we are deciding to make this pivot, but the experience has been thus far that Bharat was sort of tucked away a little bit, not for show, so to speak. You're now taking Bharat in, but we still sort of live with Make in India, Make in Bharat, Make in India, Made in India, etc. Ubharta Bharat, Made in India, how does that sound?
नहीं, इन्होंने कहा कि भारत गूंज रहा है. मेरे विचार से भारत गूंज रहा है, पर भारत छलांग भी लगा रहा है, क्योंकि अगर आप हार्ड पावर देखें और सॉफ्ट पावर दोनों देखें ब्रांडिंग में, तो सॉफ्ट पावर में आप अपने एंशिएंट सिविलाइजेशनल स्ट्रेंथ पे जाते हैं, जो हमने वसुधैव कुटुंबकम के बारे में बात की G20 में, और सबको लगा, सारे देशों को लगा कि ये भारत को डिफ्रेंशिएट करता है, क्योंकि आपके पॉलिटिकल ओपिनियंस डिफरेंट हों, ज्योग्राफिकल बाउंड्रीज डिफरेंट हों, पर एज ह्यूमन बीइंग्स हम सब एक कॉस्मोस से आते हैं. और दूसरी चीज़ जो सबको लगी कि सब में एक कंसेंसस बनना ज़रूरी है, तो ग्रोथ का इश्यू हो या ग्रीन डेवलपमेंट पैक्ट हो या विमेन लेड डेवलपमेंट पैक्ट हो, इसमें चाइना, सऊदी अरेबिया सब ने कंसेंसस अचीव की, और इंडिया ने ये दिखाया कि हम इमर्जिंग मार्केट्स, G7, रशिया, चाइना सबको एक साथ एक जगह ला सकते हैं. दूसरा, सबने भारत की लीडरशिप मानी कि हम प्राइम मिनिस्टर के नेतृत्व में हम एक कंसेंसस हर इशू पर ला सकते हैं. वो केवल भारत ला सकता था. तो ये भारत का एक बहुत बड़ा एक सॉफ्ट पावर की विजय रही और एक हार्ड पावर की विजय ये रही कि भारत ने माना, सबने माना कि भारत इस समय बहुत जोरों की तरक्की कर रहा है। देखिए, हम इस समय डिजिटाइजेशन पे नंबर 1 है, हम इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर पे नंबर 1 है, हम ग्रोथ पे नंबर 1 है। दुनिया की जितनी ग्रोथ हो रही है उसकी 20% ग्रोथ भारत से आ रही है। तो यही एक समय है कि आप अपनी पूरी ब्रांडिंग, ये समय है भारत का और ये समय फिर कभी नहीं आएगा। तो इस समय एक आपकी एस्पिरेशन है, आपकी एम्बिशन है, आपकी एनर्जी है, आपकी वाइब्रेंसी, आपकी डायनेमिज्म है, वो सब कैप्चर इनको करनी है इस समय।
Well, as long as it's not just a topical change, as in you rebrand, but the reality must also change. So that's what you're trying to say.
मैं ये कह रहा हूं कि इस समय एक, क्योंकि हमने बहुत अचीव किया है और बैंक ऑफ इंटरनेशनल सेटलमेंट ने कहा कि जो आपने 9 वर्षों में किया वो भारत को 50 वर्ष लगते अचीव करने में।
Right.
तो एक सेंस ऑफ नेशनल प्राइड है। अभी हमारा जो, हम हमेशा कॉलोनियलिज्म थिंकिंग में फंसे रहते थे, हम हमेशा वेस्ट को एप करते थे, हम वो अब हमारे दिमाग से निकल गया है। ये समझना बहुत जरूरी है।
Thank you very much, gentlemen. It's been very enlightening.
एक ही वो है कि देखिए, ये हीन भावना जो है ना, जो आप कह रहे हैं, ये हम सबसे जानने की आवश्यकता है। इवन इफ यू वांट टू मेक ब्रांड इंडिया, यू वांट टू टॉक अबाउट द इंडिया डूइंग वेल, इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कि हमारा सेल्फ बिलीफ खत्म नहीं हो। क्योंकि आप ये देखते हैं कि ऐसा लगता है कि हमारे देश में कमियां ही कमियां हैं। भाई, झील में पत्थर ही पत्थर हैं, झील भूल चुकी है झील होना। झील में पत्थर ही पत्थर हैं, झील भूल चुकी है झील होना। अब कहाँ बची गौरैया की फुरफुर, हर कोई चाहता है झील होना। तो आप भारत को अटैक करना चाहते हैं और अपनी कमियों को उजागर करना चाहते हैं। ये लोगों से मैं ये कह रहा हूं, जो लोग भारत की कमियों को अक्सर आगे रखते हैं, सेल्फ बिलीफ जो है वो बहुत ही जरूरी है कि हमें, भाई हमें ये एहसास करा दिया गया कॉलोनियल पास्ट में कि हमें कुछ भी अच्छा नहीं है। ये कैसे हो रहा है? लोग एयरलाइन में आज ट्रैवल कर रहे हैं, अरे कैसे कैसे लोग एयरलाइन में आ रहे हैं?
एक तो टैगलाइन
ये रिजेंटमेंट कहां से भाई? कैसे कैसे लोग हैं? आपके ही तो लोग हैं। ये कैसे कैसे लोग एयरलाइन में आने लगे हैं? ये कैसे हम कह सकते हैं अपने लोगों के लिए? ये हम ये पहले रिजेंटमेंट भी जो प्रिविलेज क्लास में है, ये भी खत्म होना चाहिए कि भाई हमारे ही लोग हैं, जब तक ये तरक्की नहीं करेंगे आप तरक्की कैसे करेंगे?
Okay, well, very passionate about Bharat. Believe in Bharat. That's your tagline, perhaps. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you once again, Mr. Prasoon Joshi, Mr. Amitabh Kant.